Are you a smart home buyer? Now, just because you might have bought a home before, or maybe this is your first time, you might think you know the experience and how the process works, but there is a very specific way to go about buying a home that can save you tens of thousands of dollars and headaches along the way. And I'm going to take you through a series of videos that explain all about this so that you can become what we call a smart home buyer. So if this is in your wheelhouse, stick with me, let's go. Hey, as always, if this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about the St. Pete, Tampa Bay area, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so that you don't miss out on anything going on or any market updates. My name is Gina. My team and I have been helping people move to the area for the last 11 years. So whether you're looking to make a move to the area, move locally, buy an investment property, or even sell your home, you can get a lot of information from our channel and we would love to help you make that move. So all of our information is in the description box below and we would love to hear from you. Okay, we are back and we are going to start segment 2 with talking about buying real estate as an investment. And many of you might be thinking what many people have told us over the years, and that is, well, I'm just buying a house for myself to live in and my family to live in. Like, I don't want an investment property. And the funny part about that is that we encourage you to think of your own home as an investment property. So if that confuses you a little bit, we're going to talk about that today and the differences and how you might start to look at your home more as an investment than a emotional purchase, a purchase like I was saying before, where home buying is actually very emotional. It's very feelings based. You feel comfortable in the house. You like the home. You enjoy the neighborhood. You can see your family living there and you can see yourself growing old or raising a family or having your friends over or your family over or holidays. It becomes part of who you are, and it's a place where you're going to literally spend half of your life. Every day you're going to be going to sleep and waking up in that home. So yes, although it's emotional, you also want to look at it from a perspective of, this is something I am putting my money into, and I would love if this place could return to me like an investment. So let's talk about that. So I'll just start off with the first one that you all probably obviously know, or at least have heard of. And that is that you would like to, have a property where as soon as you buy it, you have instant equity. And although at many times this is what everybody's always striving to do, you can't always achieve that in certain markets at certain times when the market is just doing what it's doing and there's too much competition, or, prices are just out of control like we've seen in the last, few years here. A lot of bidding wars and things like that might not always lend to an environment where you can make these decisions. But always, if we can find a property at a price and a condition and where everything else works for you and you're getting it at a little bit better deal, that's everybody's goal. That's our goal. That's your goal. That's everybody's goal, probably except for the seller. But depending upon the situation, that could also be the seller's goal. So we never know what we're necessarily negotiating against, but that is what we're always looking for, is to make sure that when you're purchasing a home, we're trying to get you the best deal possible at all times. So just keep that in mind as you work with our team or any agent. That is ultimately their goal. So another thing to consider when you are thinking of your home as an investment is when you go to get a loan. Now, most of us are sort of taught, or it's been ingrained that, you get a 30-year fixed mortgage, put 20% down. Great. But there's so many options available on the market, you have to make sure that you're looking into what's right for you. And depending upon your situation, some of these loans might be different. You might be able to do a specific first-time home buyers program where the rates and things will be different for you there, or the loan terms. If you're a veteran, you have different options. But one thing to consider when you're just getting a standard loan is that we always talk about the 30-year mortgage, but you also a lot of times have a 10 or 15-year. And with those, you may have a shorter time to pay down the loan, but if you can afford the higher payments, you're going to be building that equity faster and you're going to pay off that home faster. If you don't have the cash or the money to pay more every single month, and you're okay with having that longer term loan that will eventually obviously cost more in interest because it's longer term, but you might want to allocate your money in different areas and save that portion that you'd be putting down on your home somewhere else, you can still do the 30-year mortgage and have your payments and then allocate your money somewhere else. So you do have two options. So it just depends on what are you looking for when you're thinking of this as an investment. Do you just want to get that house, get it paid off, and then have the leverage to do something else with the property, like rent it or something like that? Or just maybe it's for someone who's elderly, or if you're looking at, I want a home, but I don't want to have any payments. I have the money, let's pay this off. If you don't have the cash, a 15-year mortgage might work better for you. As always, I'm not going to claim to be the expert on mortgages, and these things change all the time. So it's best to talk to a lender or a broker about this information. We do have one that we would recommend. If you do have any questions about that, throw those below because I can definitely get you in touch with them and at least you can get some better understanding. It's obviously no obligation ever, but it's just something to think about when you're thinking about it as an investment rather just a home to purchase. Another thing to consider when you're purchasing a home to be a smart home buyer is that when you look at it as an investment, I want you to think about the time that you're going to be in the home. Are you purchasing this home because you maybe just started a family and you want to have this home for as your family grows and goes through school until the kids move out? Or are you maybe looking to come to an area and you are taking a short-term job, like a contract job, and you only need the house for like 2 to 3 years, and then you're gonna move again? In these two situations, it might actually, in the long term, be better for you not to purchase a home and to rent a home instead. So these are two things to consider: is how long are you invested in the property? What are your intentions and what are you thinking about? Because although you think that every agent and every advisor might say, yes, buy, I would disagree and say that it depends on your situation. And sometimes it might not be the best decision in the moment to purchase a home if you plan to give that home up in 2 to 3 years. And that's because you're probably not going to get much out of it, and the process and the upfront costs might not be worth it in the end. Now, with that being said, there's always specific cases that this might obviously be not true, as if there was this screaming amazing deal and you got the property for so cheap because some weird thing was going on and you knew that as soon as you bought it, you had so much equity that you could essentially sell it for a ton of money. Those cases are rare, and that's not really usually always going to happen. But as with everything I'm mentioning, these things are things to talk about. These things are things to consider, and these things are things that you should share with who's ever helping you look for the home or go through the lending process with you, because it will potentially matter, or we may have a direction that we would advise you. Ultimately, in the end, it's your decision, but just something to think about. Okay, another part of thinking about your home as an investment instead of just more of an emotional purchase is that if you are in the position where you have a home currently and you are looking to sell that home and buy a new home, what do you do first? Do you sell or do you buy? And we obviously have so many people go through this situation, right? It's like you need to sell your house, but you also need to get in a new one, and you can't have your family be out on the street, or, you need to do this, sell first before you can buy, because you need to take that money and you need to put it in your new home. Sometimes you don't need to do that, and you don't care if when you sell, you're okay with buying. There's so many different options here. What we try to encourage you to do is look at this in an investment mindset. Where is your money going to be allocated intelligently and with the most intention? Because a lot of times you don't want to purchase a home. Now you're paying that mortgage and you still have your other mortgage that you're paying, let's say. Now you're paying double, where in certain situations, it might be better to get your home on the market, get that solidified before you start looking for another home. Obviously, this one is very particular to your situation in life, what property comes up, if somebody offers on your property, a lot of different factors. So just make sure to talk with your advisor or your agent in detail on this, because there could be strategies that they could put into place for you or advise you on maybe different situations to do in these cases, because there are a lot of different options that we don't always think about. And when it gets down to, oh my God, I love this house, I want it, is it really that you love that house and you want it, even if it's going to put you in a bad financial situation by doing it? Or is it better to look at it through an investment's eyes and say, I love this house, but financially that doesn't make sense as an investment, so I'm not going to make this decision. I'm going to make a different decision, because in the long run, I will still find a property that I love, that fits my needs and my family's needs, that will also be good for me in the long run. So just something to consider, another part of the strategy of being a smart home buyer. Okay, and the final one is to think about, what is this home going to be for you in the future? Are you looking at purchasing this home to rent it out? Are you looking at purchasing this home to live in for a while and then rent out? Or are you looking at purchasing just to live in and then sell? Now, although a lot of times in life you don't always know the exact answer to this, most times you know if you're intentionally purchasing to rent. And if this is the case, obviously you want to look at the purchase a little bit more strategically, so that when you get into the property, even if you love it, it might not be the best property for renting. And with that being said, obviously you think about the cost. If you have a loan, for example, and your loan, let's say your monthly payment is $2,000 and you can only rent it out for $1,500, well, then that's not really additional passive income for you. You're not even covering the cost of your monthly payment. So obviously that's a simple example, but you know what I mean when I say do the research. If you're looking for using this as a rental, let your advisor, let your agent know, because they once again can provide you with some additional information about the market, what might be happening, if there's additional fees like HOA fees or CDD fees that eventually might affect the rental of the property. There's a lot of times too where there's restrictions. You go to buy the home or you want the home, and then you find out that you can't actually even rent it because there's a certain percentage in the neighborhood that can be rented, and that's already full. And now you're on a wait list to possibly rent, and that might just not work for you in the long run. So it's just a way to be intelligent with how you're using your money and to think about the home as an investment and what you want to do with it in the long term. So that's part of our investment strategy for being a smart home buyer. We are going to talk next time about the market conditions, and there's just market intelligence, things that you should be aware of in the market when you are going to buy a home, and maybe what you need to look for or be aware to ask about when you are thinking about your options when buying. So I will see you all for segment 3 on how to be a smart home buyer.